right. Originally, your doctor's office had requested duplicates, and I think that was where the confusion was when you would call in, because there were some that were open and not completed, and it was based on the fact that the doctor's office requested duplicates of the same request, prior authorization request. So unfortunately, it was denied. The retrieval was denied based on the fact, I'm just reading what the review team, the doctors, because with your plan, it doesn't cover another retrieval if you have frozen embryos that can be used.
So where on my plan does it say that? Because nothing in my certificate of coverage says that. Nothing on my summary. Nothing that I have access to says that anywhere.
Okay. You know what? I'd have to pull up your certificate of coverage. And I can do that to see. I'm just going to see what they're referencing, because this isn't something that I do, but I can see whether or not it's approved for you. So let me see if they're...
Yeah, because my plan is basically to appeal, but because that exclusion, I can't see that anywhere. I can see the exclusion on like cryopreservation, but what they're talking about, that's not anywhere that I can see.
Okay. Okay, it's saying it does not meet the benefit language. Policy section number 1.
In the certificate of coverage?
I'm just looking to see. Yep, certificate of coverage, document, and then there's numbers. Policy section 1, covered health services, exact benefit language from the policy. The health care service, supply, or pharmacy cover medical infertility diagnosis and treatment, Optum clinical guideline, exact benefit from guideline, clinical performance guideline, infertility. Fresh oocyte retrievals are not indicated when previously frozen oocytes or embryos are available for transfer.
So that's in something else. That's not even in my certificate of coverage.
It looks like, because what your certificate of coverage would follow is clinical guidelines, is what it looks like I'm interpreting.
Well, where are those? So, I mean, this is information I would need up before making decisions. So where would I get access to that?
It has like a listed letter. I'd have to do a little research to find out where you can find that. But unfortunately, it was denied. You always have the option to appeal. Now, did you have the retrieval already?
Well, yeah. I mean, all this happened. I was 9 days in the stems when all this happened. So,
oh my goodness.
I was literally, 3 days away from my retrieval.
Right.
So,
okay. And I had, when I got your email, reached out to my manager to kind of identify, because I saw exactly what you were saying. There was denial, but then there was one that was open and not was pending. So, but it ended up that they just requested several within a couple of days of the same prior authorization. I'm not sure why. The office was contacted.
It was I think it was something between my RE and the facility that's doing the retrieval. They're two different doctors, right? So even though my RE does the retrieval, he uses this facility. So that facility was trying to work out payment for, I guess, the use of the facility and everything that was going on there. But then they got the push.
See who they talked to and when.
Yeah, they talked to. The facility put in their original authorization, I think, on the 30th. And they were contacted by insurance on that Tuesday, I think. And then they reached out to my RE. So that would have been the 31st. So my RE, because the insurance was asking for my records at that point, which they don't have my records. My RE has my records. So I think he needed to make the submission, but I think what I guess in the discussions, he was attempting to get an authorization for multi-units, which is what he told me, and he thought he had an approval on that on Wednesday because he was given an authorization code. So, and it turned out that that authorization went in on the 1st, which is a couple days after the facility's authorization. And for some reason, he was under the impression that it was approved when really no decision had been made on it at that point. So, he's operating under the guise that everything's fine, and the facility is running around. The ladies at the facility is running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to get everything squared away. So they called me, the facility called me on Thursday saying they got a call that morning about their authorization being denied based on this exclusion. And I don't know what was submitted as far as my records are concerned, but according to this letter, they think I have 3 embryos. I really don't have 3 embryos because I went through PGS testing and only have 1 normal. So, that's going to be part of my appeal as well, that no, I don't have 3. I only have 1. Also, I'm 38. I get pregnant with this one. There's probably no chance for me to have another kid, right? If I have to wait to do a retrieval. But my main concern is, where is this exclusion coming from? Because I don't see that in anything that I have possession of. And I have my certificate of coverage.
Based on clinical guidelines with your plan. Language from the guideline, because it lists
but where is that
verbiage, but where to find that? I will have to identify that for you and see if I can find it in your certificate of coverage and kind of point it out. They're saying under Section 1.
Under Section 1, because
section name Section 1 covered health services.
All right, because I have my certificate of coverage right here.
And then it says the next line.
This is
I'm going to read it just to see if exact benefit language from policy. The healthcare service, supply, or pharmaceutical product is only a covered service if it is medical policy. Infertility diagnosis and treatment, and then there's a number. Optum clinical guideline. Exact benefit language from the guideline. And then it says clinical performance guideline, infertility, assisted reproductive technology, fresh oocyte retrievals are not indicated when previous frozen oocytes or embryos are available for transfer.
That must be a completely different document.
You don't see that at all?
Yeah, in my table of contents, Section 1 is just schedule of benefits. And then, which is access and benefits, prior authorization, covered health services, which require...
I have a document number. Do you want that? I mean, it's kind of long, but...
I don't know where I would find... Where would I get
I'm not sure. But you know what? So I'll look into it for you, just so that, if you have something that you can see what I'm seeing, if that would help. And then, certainly you want to move forward with your appeal process. And another thing, just for you to know, the doctor's office, they did tell you, but it is their responsibility to have that prior authorization in place before doing the service.
No, I know. And when I spoke with him, this was a concern of mine. But he didn't think he said it wouldn't be a problem. So I had this exact concern. Would insurance even cover another retrieval, considering I have an embryo?
Yeah.
And
because it's not uncommon that it's not a covered benefit for patients. If there is embryo or an embryo available, it's not uncommon that could be denied. So, yeah, I just wish for your sake that they would have done this earlier so that you would have had that information prior to moving into the retrieval.
Yeah, I asked about it. I'm pretty pissed, not at you guys, but pretty much at my doctor, because I asked about this specific thing. that was that was the reason why I didn't suggest doing another retrieval after only having one after another, because I wasn't sure, and there was nothing that I could read that would indicate whether they would or wouldn't, and everything is so incredibly vague to begin with. And I just feel like it's so vague they can pretty much make up whatever they want at this point to say whether they're going to pay or not.
What happens is, and again, I'm speaking from just what I'm reading here. If it's not stated, but if they're following clinical guidelines, which would be, through Optum United Healthcare fertility guidelines, that is one of the guidelines. And whether or not that would be something that you would see, I don't know. But it is the responsibility of the provider to request prior authorization before services are done, so that you as the patient are very aware of if there would be out-of-pocket costs based on, what's been requested.
I don't know for sure, but I think he was under the impression he was operating under the original prior authorization from June, which didn't expire until September. So,
but it was
I know it didn't make sense to me, but I'm not in medical billing or the medical field, so I don't know how that works.
Me either. I'm a nurse, but because this isn't what I do either, but I can see it and help you with it a little bit. So yeah, there was one done.
In June.
You had one then.
Mm-hmm. I had one in June.
Just the one.
Mm-hmm.
It's only good for one, so I don't know why he would have ever.
Listen.
Yeah,
I'm like, you've been doing this for 25 years. You're supposed to know how this goes, right? So
to have a prior authorization for each service. So that's silly that would have been one of the thoughts there.
Oh no.
So I'll see if there is something that I can share with you as to where to find that exactly. But if not, I'll get back to you either way, and then you can certainly start the appeal process. And I would chat with their doctor's office again, and if this is going to be something you're paying out of pocket, ask them what they're going to do to help you. Because,
for sure, because that's what I had to do, or else my eggs that I've been stemming for a week and a half go away. It was a rock and a hard place, basically.
I know,
and I literally had 3 days.
Already the medications have been purchased and used, and
and I had 3 days to come up with all this money to not throw my eggs away. It was incredibly stressful. So
I bet. So let me see what I can find out for you, and then we'll go from there. Just because I want to be able to provide you with more information if I can.
Yeah, if there's some other document, which this certificate of coverage is only 170 pages long, and there's probably 5 pages total that talk about infertility, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
There isn't anything in here that mentions another document that I can tell in this certificate of coverage. So, Section 1 in here is certainly not looking like what they're talking about there, and that is all of that you're reading isn't even on my letter, so I can't see any of that. All they have on my letter, they don't have like what section and all of that. It just says
maybe that's just like internal, so they can find it.
Well, why not give it to me so I can look for it, because I don't see this exclusion anywhere.
Oh, you know what, though? It says benefit language from coverage document.
Well, I don't know what coverage document they're referring to, because it all it says is the reason for our determination is your doctor plans in vitro fertilization IVF for you. We looked at the note your doctor sent. You have tubal factor infertility. You have 3 frozen embryos available for transfer. I don't have 3. I have 1. And then it says we looked at your health plan. The plan states that fresh egg recovery is not indicated when there is a frozen egg available for transfer. Therefore, these services are not covered under your health plan. Please speak with your doctor about your treatment options. But where in my health plan? Because that, if I do an entire search on my certificate of coverage and I look for the word frozen, there's nothing.
Okay.
There's nothing anywhere, so I have no idea what they're referring to.
And then if I were you, I would chat with the billing department at your doctor's office and start the appeal process. And then I'll get back to you if I'm able to tell you where to find this on the certificate of coverage. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
How many eggs did they get?
They got 12 this time. 10 were mature, and so far all 10 fertilized. So, we're a little better than last time.
Are you doing the PGS as well again?
Yeah, so last time they got 10, 8 were mature, 7 fertilized, 3 made it to blast, but only 1 came out normal with PGS. So,
So they're not at the blastocyst stage yet?
No. The retrieval was just Sunday, so today would only be day 3. So I only have the fertilization report so far, and that is 10 of 10. So I'm not mad at that.
No, that's a good thing. I'm glad that piece. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can find out for you, and I'll definitely get back to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Tamika. You take care.
Alrighty. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Okay, y'all. So, that was the nurse case manager just getting back to me from last Wednesday when I sent her an email. Actually, I sent her 2 emails from last Wednesday. Anyway, she's just now getting back to me. She has a little bit more information than what is on my denial letters about where this coverage is. It's nowhere in my certificate of benefits, so I don't know where they're reading. If they're reading some other document that's not distributed, I'm just like, insurance is so freaking sneaky. It makes me mad because it's just like, well, what are you reading? Where is that at? Like, where would I get access to that document? Like, I need to know these things so that I can make appropriate decisions. And like, whatever, I mean, I say this all the time, whatever happened to those big fat books that you used to get when you were choosing your healthcare plan so that you could see every single letter of what's covered and what's not covered? It's like they don't distribute this anymore, and I think it's so they can make shit up. Okay, so now she's got to figure out what they're freaking looking at, because I don't know what they're looking at, but they ain't looking at my certificate of coverage. And my certificate of coverage does not mention this at all. It does mention exclusions, especially on cryopreservation and the preservation of reproductive tissue in general, but it mentions nothing about banking. It mentions nothing about frozen embryos. It mentions nothing, fresh egg recovery. It doesn't even talk about that. So where they're reading this from, I have no clue. And somebody needs to provide that document so that I can read that in full so that I can make my decisions going forward, because otherwise you're just pulling shit out of your ass. And I just had to pay $10,000, okay, unexpectedly because of this. So, yeah, I'm all about proof. And if this is the case, somebody should be able to provide me a printed document, printed, digital, whatever. Somebody should be able to provide me with a document, and somewhere in my certificate of coverage that references this document, that says that this all applies to my healthcare plan. Because why am I not getting the full information so that I can decide what healthcare plan that I want? All right, I'm off my soapbox. I'm going to go back to work. But I will keep y'all posted.